All right, welcome back, everybody, to the 24 Down podcast. We are here. I know it's been a little bit of a break since the last time you guys have heard a podcast. I guess it's our off season, if you will, but we're back. So, back here for episode 39. I've got a very special guest with me tonight. Um, I've made mention to this before on some other podcasts. Um, this man is probably single-handedly responsible for getting me into the podcasting world. So at this time, I would like to bring on our guest, Phill Anderson. How's it going, Phill?
It's going great. Thank you for having me on this wonderful podcast that you have cultivated into, let's face it, a mega podcast.
I mean, we're getting flagged now. We've got episodes that are getting flagged now. So
Hey, that's it. That's it. Once you start getting canceled, you know you've made it. That's the barometer for how good, how successful your podcast is. It's
right,
not
right.
listens, it's not downloads. No one gives a shit about that. Have you been canceled?
And we're, I think, 2 episodes now that we've got
Yeah,
canned.
that's
So
crazy. So what were the two things that got you flagged?
So
Curious.
the first episode was Samsung's episode,
Okay.
and I looked at his song selection. Um, and the one song I think he used was like a Christian artist, and I was like, okay, it's not that.
Mm,
Definitely not that.
yeah.
And then he used a Maroon 5 song,
Oh, weird.
and I was like, that's the one. It's got to be that song. It was man, what's that song called? It was something about like memories or something like that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not the world's biggest Maroon 5 fan, so I don't know their
I,
music that well, but I'm sure if I heard it, I would know it. But that's
I'm
so
not
weird. That's YouTube? Is that who did that? Or is
well
this Apple or what?
well it's like Universal Music, whatever it is,
Oh,
like the big,
really?
yeah, so like it was definitely not YouTube because I don't put the songs in through YouTube.
Mm.
I'm guessing maybe because I know Spotify has a similar thing that YouTube has where it has
Yeah, computers and algorithm like they listen to everything and they can find stuff in your
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Like people don't actually listen to it. It's like a machine or whatever it is.
right.
They can pick up
So
on
so I'm
music and
get
stuff.
yeah, I'm guessing that's what it is. Then the second episode was the Matthias episode. So
Hmm.
again, I can't remember off the top of my head what songs he used, so I'm looking right now.
Hmm.
Now I
That's
use
so weird.
what I do, like I guess pull back the curtains here a little bit. Um, there's like YouTube downloaders that you can do. So like if you find a video
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube, you can go into this downloader and just directly download the song. So that's what I was doing for a lot of these things. So for Matthias's uh music files, one, it's called Y2 Mate. That's the site I used. And all it says is God is. So it's another Christian song. So I doubt that's the one being flagged. So I think what it is was his other song, which is the UFC theme song.
Oh, yeah. So
And so,
weird.
yeah. So as of right now, those are the two that have been kicked off. But I got Samsung's episode back up. I'm gonna get Matthias's episode back up here soon with just different music or whatever. But yeah, the era of having our guests select songs, if it's not royalty free, that's over. So, but that's
I
all
know
right.
I was really looking forward to it. I had like a song planned out and thought out, but I was like, oh, that's okay. But I have a backup plan. So,
Well, I
well,
guess
actually,
this
they would have already heard it. So,
I guess this is like a good quick little segue then. Like, since we can't actually play it, like what was your song idea that you had?
oh, the first one was the Phil and Alex show theme song.
Okay.
Yep. So the original. I'm sorry. You mean my original song
Yeah,
idea?
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I was gonna do Jesus Freak by DC Talk.
See now, like part of me's like, maybe I just do it because I don't think the Christian songs get flagged that much,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
just never know. So
Yeah, I just was surprised no one had done it yet, and I was like, that's just such a classic. From like our age of people that are in 24 down and are there. It's like Jesus Freak was a monumental song for a lot of like teenagers our age. So
well,
I was like, oh, and it would be funny. So
I guarantee you that of everybody that's listening to this right now, there's at least 3 people that have just paused the podcast to go listen to Jesus Freak because they're like, oh yeah.
100%, you are welcome. You are welcome. Um, Big House, Audio Adrenaline. Go listen.
what
No,
was
it's terrible.
what was the I'll never forget. I don't know why I'll never forget. I want to say it was Newsboys
Oh, Shine.
that did. No, well, that one's. I mean, that's. But what was the one they did? Like the "Take Me to Your Leader." Was that Newsboys?
Yeah. So
And it
what
was,
is this? Is Newsboys? I switched that. I don't remember.
but they had like the. It was a whole like alien theme to it and
Yes,
everything.
yes. I hated them so much. They were like the band I hated. They're like the Nickelback of Christian bands, basically. Am I wrong?
No, I think, but
I think that's pretty accurate.
at
At
the
least to
same,
me, like as a guy, like teenager dude,
for
like
sure.
Christian.
At
I
this,
was like, no.
I do remember having like a very small, short-lived Newsboys phase where I did like their stuff. But again, like
Mm, mm.
this is back in the day when like at least for me growing up, I didn't listen to any secular music at this point in my life. So I'm thinking this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. Shine, what a great song, you know? And now, like, yeah, if you're gonna compare it to the rest of the music that's out there at that time,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that your
You have
Nickelback,
a rude awakening, yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. Christian music, man. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
Brings
there's
it back.
I'm sure there's great Christian music out there. I don't personally know of any, but I'm sure
Yeah.
there's great stuff out there, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even some of the Christian bands, like we were teasing some of them, but I mean, I don't know. Like I went back and listened to a little bit of Audio Adrenaline. They have some good songs here and there, and Fire and Frenzy. I mean, if you like that kind of music, you'll like it. But I mean,
Right.
obviously, the average person is not going to like that. I understand that, but you know who? I just I'm glad we talked about this. John Rubin. I
Okay.
think he's fantastic. I mean,
So
very.
I honestly I don't know if I know anything by him, to be
Oh,
honest.
really?
Yeah.
He's a Christian rapper and stuff. We used to use John
Okay.
Rubin in our all of our Under the Light videos and stuff.
I
We'd use
think
John Rubin tracks all the time.
I know who
Yeah.
you're talking about now.
Yep. Yeah. 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 I mean, it's obviously Christian rap or whatever, but I mean, I thought he was highly entertaining, especially, excuse me, at the time.
Sure. Sure.
You know. But
Interesting.
yeah, Nicole loves him, so I mean,
He's doing something, right?
he's doing something right. He has that white suburban appeal. That's
Uh, that's awesome.
yeah.
Well, let's I guess let's just dive right into it. And why don't you kind of recap and give us all a recap? And you could go further back than this if you want, if you think it'll be helpful to anything, because I know a lot of people didn't necessarily know you in college either. So you include whatever you want, but if you want to give us a recap of kind of like Valley Forge time leading up till now, if you want to go before then, that's fine too. Leading
Yeah,
up
well,
till
because
now.
I was thinking about that. Well, because like, yeah, number one, people don't know me that well, and maybe people, I mean, if they listen to the flag episode, they should know I got expelled from school. But
Yeah,
some people may not know that. So I was like, I don't. I was like thinking about that. I was like, I don't know where to start. But I mean, yeah. So I guess like yeah. So I get expelled from school for drinking, basically, because like two girls had, or one girl particularly had told on us or whatever. Which it is at this point. It is what it is. Like I don't have any ill will towards any of those girls. I mean, it was vindictive on one of their parts because of Joey De La Cruz and all that situation. But, I mean, it definitely was like a weird. I mean, don't get me wrong. That day, man, that day was crazy. That was probably one of the craziest days of my life, for sure. And it was a very transformational day of my life. You know what I mean? Like I was never the same after that. You know what I mean? My whole I would say personality, because I mean I've always been like funny and like easygoing and all that stuff, but I don't know. Like something deeply affected me that day. And it was just, I don't know. I just always felt like I never go back to the person I was before all that happened. You know what I'm saying? I mean, which it is what it is, but you know, it's just weird how you don't expect certain moments in your life to be huge moments in your life until they're already have happened, or you know, because you gotta imagine, man, like we had a meeting, like Alex has said, like we kind of talked about it before. We had a meeting with student life, and so it was so weird, man. So I go to bed the night before, and like I didn't sleep at all. Like I was like tossing and turning. I've never had that experience in my life. So I should have known then that something was wrong.
so
You know?
you knew at this point that you were having a meeting the next day.
Yeah, we all
Yeah.
had meetings. Todd, Alex, me. You know, they wanted to talk about what would happen over the weekend, which was the drinking. The girls, we got home late or whatever, and you know, Joey's ex girlfriend hated Joey, and so she was like up late, waiting for Joey to get back. And so when we got back, she like made it a point to like walk over us and talk to us, and that's how she found out we were drunk. Whatever, it is what it is. But where was I? So yeah, the meeting, right? So yeah, so we have a meeting the next morning, and so that night, we literally thought we were gonna get suspended. That's what we thought. We're like, because we've heard about other kids getting in trouble for drinking. We're like, whatever, we'll take the suspension, no big deal. Like, we'll just, whatever. And even though they can't prove that we were drinking, it's just hearsay, really. It's just their word against ours, essentially. But I definitely felt like they had it out for us after the flag burning. And so I think that was probably the primary, it was just an excuse to expel us, was the drinking, So so anyway, so we're all standing outside. I didn't sleep a wink the night before. We get there, like me, Todd, Alex, Joey, of course, is there, all of us. And then the kid that we couldn't remember his name, we only hung out with him one time. We went drinking at his house or whatever that night, but it was earlier in the night. And somehow someone had found out like he was drinking with us or whatever. And so he had fessed up to it and said that he was drinking. And so we get a text from him. Like, we should have just listened to him. We got a text from him, and he's like, yo, just tell the truth and then everything will be okay, blah, blah, blah. And because our plan was, look, they don't have any evidence on us at all. Why would we say that we did, why would we say anything at all? Like they can't prove that we were drinking, whatever, so we kept with the plan. Todd went in first. They expelled Todd. I go in second. They expel me. And so I remember it to this day, man. It was me at one side of the table, and you had Brian Coles in front of me, or I can't remember. Mortensen's in the middle, and then Talesha's on the other side, I think. And Talesha and Brian Coles looked like someone got murdered in the room, which is, I appreciate. As I'm getting expelled, they looked really sad. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, at least they're not total assholes about this.
Right.
But, during that last year of school, like, I was just going through a lot of stuff, like home stuff. Like, my mom and my ex-stepfather were on the rocks. They decided to uproot our whole family from Massachusetts, and they moved to Florida. So he had like run away and started drugging again at one point. Like, this all had happened from junior year to senior year. And by what I mean about drugging, like heroin, fucking, hard shit. So my mom was dealing with that and other stuff I don't want to get into, but so they ended up going and moving down to Florida. And this is like senior year, they had already moved down to Florida. And so it was just a tense family situation. Me and an ex-girlfriend had broken up that same year. So it was just a lot of things that were negatively affecting me, to the point where I was like, you know what? Because all of us, I mean, we were just tired of Valley Forge. We're tired of the rules. We're tired of being like, oh, you're not Christian enough, or you're not, you know what I mean? I'm just tired. And so I was just like, I want to do what I want to do. And we're like, oh, well, I'm over 21 now. Let's go have a beer, And of course, yeah, did we drink a little too much sometimes? Yeah, sure. Should I not have yeah, obviously, but yeah, so that's why, why I was drinking, and then I told them all this, and they're like, oh, why didn't you tell us? And I'd be like, why would I ever, I have no connection to you whatsoever. Why would I tell some student life person, what? And oh, we could have helped you, blah, blah, blah. I would have been like, well, you're here right now. You can help me right now. You know what I mean? And of course, they gave me the whole line of oh, well, you can reapply in next semester, blah, blah, blah. Do not turn off your cell phone. Do not contact anyone else. Mind you, Alex is behind me, ready to go next. And yeah, right. One by one, like fucking lambs to the slaughter. And so then, Al gets, and of course we all get expelled. And remember going up to our room, and Alex is just like, I can't fucking believe it. I can't over and over again. Just and I remember just looking out the window of my Buongiorno second floor bedroom, and seeing everyone walk into class and stuff like that, and being like, damn, this is the last time I'm ever gonna see this or ever go to class again. At least this year. Dude, I started crying. It was the worst. It was the worst fucking day. It was terrible. And then it was one of those things where it kind of snowballed, and then all of a sudden all of these people started finding out. And so of course, as soon as I got expelled, they're like, okay, you have to the end of the day. Of course, mind you, my family's in Florida now. So I'm like, what do I do? So anyway, throughout the day, I didn't go to any more of my classes, obviously. So like, I'm like walking around and like, doing stuff. And I remember Sarah Slack walked up to me. She was under the light with us. And oh man, one of the saddest things. So she walks up to me. We're under the light together. We knew each other from freshman year. She's a very sweet person. And she's married and stuff. She has a different last name now. I can't remember. But yeah, she came up to me and she was just like crying. I was like, because she had heard we got expelled or whatever. And she gave me a hug, and I was like, oh yeah, yeah. I was like, I can't fucking deal with this right now. I was like, this is crazy. Yeah, so I remember the whole day. It was basically like a grand goodbye tour, and then I ended up, that's the same day that me and Alex went down to 24 Down. We talked to Tom, and like Francis might have been there, or Eugene, or both of them. I can't remember. There was a group of people. We told them we got kicked out and shit, and they couldn't believe it and all that stuff. But yeah, it was, and by the time then, fast forward to the end of the night, by that point, everyone, we said goodbye to everybody. We literally packed up our cars with all our stuff, and we embarked on a journey to Florida at 10 o'clock at night.
It's just it's just crazy to like to hear this all back, like I know this whole story, but like really to like take it all in and know, like I mean there's myself included and some other 24 Down people that got suspended for drinking. Not anything worse, just suspended, you know? And then like you fast forward to I believe the year my timeline's all off, but I think the year after when we got suspended. So like you get expelled.
Yep, '07.
I think it was the next semester, so because you were spring, right? Spring '07, right?
Yep.
So that fall semester of '07 is when we get suspended. So you guys do the same thing that we do essentially, right? You get expelled, we only get suspended. A week or two later, there's basketball players that are caught drunk and high, like didn't turn themselves in, get a slap on the wrist and miss like some, I don't know, not even like regular season game. They miss some like whatever. And it's just crazy that like we're paying $20,000 a year to go to the school and none of us are perfect. Nobody's perfect, and you're going to give out different punishments based on
What they can provide to the school.
Yes. And okay, like granted, I can't provide the school shit, but I didn't have the flag burning thing behind. And like for you, like it wasn't a matter of like you said, you feel, and I kind of agree with you. It wasn't so much the drinking, it was the two combined, and they were looking for a reason, and it's just shitty. Like it's very shitty. It wasn't a suspension. It like that. I can't. It still baffles me. Like you guys are near the end of the semester too. It's not even like it's like first week of the semester, like no big deal. Like you're near the end of the semester.
Yeah, and a month away from graduation.
I don't know. It just baffles me. It honestly does.
Yeah, it still baffles me to this day. Like, what's honestly the worst part about it? So was it a year ago, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll like reapply, try to do some classes online. So I reapplied, and this nice gentleman, like he must have been newer because I didn't know who he was. He reached out to me. We like exchanged a couple of emails. I told him like the whole situation. I was honest with him. I was like, hey, this is what happened back in 2007. This is why I was expelled, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no problem. I think it'll be fine. I just got to talk to some people, blah, blah, blah. And then he comes back and he's like, yeah, sorry, we can't let you come back to school.
What they got you like flagged or something in like a folder somewhere? Like, yeah. Do not let.
I was speechless. I didn't know what I was like. I can't believe this. I was like, really? And I was just like, wow.
But okay, so
all these years later, so I'm like, what?
What's the difference? Because Alex came back.
I know.
So what's the
I don't know. I made it. I've been canceled. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what I've done.
How long ago was this?
Like 2 years ago.
So this was post Phil and Alex podcast. So maybe they like
Correct.
heard some episodes and are like, this guy is shit on our school so much.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. It baffles me. I don't know why. I don't know
That's
why.
unreal. I
Yeah.
guess
Oh, it almost hurt my feelings, but I will not allow them to hurt my feelings. So.
the other thing that baffles me is why why you would even want to go back, you know. But
Yep.
put that aside, like I can't believe that. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so even if it was, let's say it was 3 years ago, so now you're talking well over a decade after the
Yes.
incident.
Yes. Like what? What?
Hey, you remember that time that you drank 11 years ago?
Oh, they're like, oh no, we know that guy. No. No.
And hold on, like here's the other thing too. Like obviously they made their decision because of whatever. Like
Yeah, I don't know.
they must have some file somewhere of like
Yeah.
past students, right? But like you would think that if there is some sort of file, don't you think that something would be in there along the lines of the fact that you did a ministry team? Like it's not like you're just this bad apple.
Yeah,
Like
that's an omission. They admitted that. They were like, nope. There's like that's not going in there. Like they have no idea, you know.
like as you're getting expelled, they were like whiting that part out of your like.
It was in a ministry team, but it was not approved by the school. So
That's crazy. Maybe wow. I don't know, man.
I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it because I was like, because I know the credits are just useless. So the only way I could finish would be to like go back there because I could. Well, actually, so much has changed in that school. They're like, oh, we'll have to do. You'll have to probably have to do even more classes. But
I mean, I would say that, and
it's never going to happen.
I'm speaking out of turn here a little bit, but I would say that the credits that you have, a majority of them are probably useless, but there's probably some that would like transfer to anything, like just gen ed type stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
Whatever.
mean, it was always something that I was like proud to be able to be like, yeah, I graduated college for first in my family, and I was like, oh, I guess not.
Yeah.
But hey, it is what it is. I don't know. I still got the education. I mean, it was like a month shy. I still
Right.
say that I graduated, and no one ever checked. So it's like, well, whatever.
All right.
I still paid for it, so
Yeah.
still paying for it. Yeah.
That's what
Yes.
I think I might have posed that question. Be like, well, since you're not going to let me come back, what are we going to do about my outstanding student loans that like,
Mm-hmm.
like.
That you conned me into getting.
All right.
Yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, yeah, but so me and Alex fucking down to Florida. 10 p.m. we leave. 10 p.m. Okay, so that's not even the end of the shitty story. So like we get expelled. We're okay. We've packed our whole life up into our 2 cars. So we're convoying down to Florida, Al and I. And so Al is behind me. I'm in my car. He's in his car. We're going down Route 1, and we're almost getting out of Pennsylvania. And we come up over a hill on a highway, and what do I see in front of me? Not one deer. It's like a line of deers. Deer. I don't know what you would call a pack of deer, but whatever a pack of deer is called, it was like a line of them across the highway, and still coming. And so like I slam on my brakes, honk my horn. They start running, and by the time like I get to them, there's only like a few left or whatever. Actually, there's actually a ton. But so what ended up happening is I tried to stop, but I couldn't stop in time. And so I ended up hitting one. And so dude, it was like slow motion. So I hit it, flips over into the air, our eyes connect, blood and mucus all over the windshield, and then it flips over the top of my car, lands on the side of the road. Alex like swerves out of the way. It like smashes in my Saturn, what SL2 I had at the time, smashes in the roof of the Saturn so you can't lift it up. The headlight's broken. Mind you, we're an hour into our trip to Florida. So I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst day ever. Like I just got expelled from school. I just hit a deer. So then, yeah, so we ended up driving to Virginia or wherever the fuck. And then we ended up going from there all the way down to Florida, go to sleep, wake up. And then I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck just happened? Now I'm in Florida. And I'm like, 36 hours ago, I was in Pennsylvania, going to school. Now I'm like sleeping in, my mom's and stepfather's garage in some bed,
That's crazy.
Like, holy moly. Yeah, so that didn't last long. I didn't want to be in Florida. I was like, I need to get out of here. My plan actually after school was to live near Pennsylvania, like still in the same area with like Brian Kroll, because I didn't know what I wanted to do even before I get kicked out of school. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, all right, well, we'll move back. I want to move back to Pennsylvania. So I saved up. Actually, I didn't even fix my hood. I got it open. I was able to open the hood and kind of like bend it back and fix it as best I could. I bought a new headlight online. It came in the mail. Installed it in my car, and then my mom leaves for a mission trip, and then I was off. So like I was in Florida for like a week, 2 weeks. In that time period, I got I don't remember who, but I remember people from school that I didn't really know that well reached out to me and said like that they were they felt sorry for me that I got kicked out or like stuff like that, from people I didn't expect. But like I said, I don't remember who those people are. I don't remember specifically who you did, but if you did, thank you very much. Yeah, so like I said, Florida, and then I was like, all right. So I was talking to Brian. Brian's like, hey, I got this place. I was like, okay, cool. And then I talked to my old job. I used to work at Staples down in Phoenixville. That's cool. So I called them. They're like, yeah, you can come on back. You can work full time. Blah blah blah. I was like, all right. Well, like this is at least somewhat of a plan. So pack up all my stuff again, go all the way up to Pennsylvania in one trip. Took me 20 something hours or whatever. Arrived in Pennsylvania at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Slept. Talk about being young. Slept. Woke up the next morning. Went to work at Staples at like 8 o'clock in the morning or whatever. Worked all day. Worked a 8-hour shift or whatever. And then me and Brian literally, I think I say it at, that literally that then we moved in that day. It was like boom, boom, boom. Like, you know what I mean? Typical early 20s, Phill and Brian operation where we're just like, oh yeah, fuck it, let's just do it one day. No big deal. Yeah, we'll just move everything in, whatever. Let's see. How long has it been since I got kicked out of school? Okay, it's been long enough. So we needed beds. And
Yes.
we didn't have beds. And so we're like, where can we find beds? Like, because we're poor. We're like, we can't afford beds. And I was like, you know what? The least the school can do is give me a bed. So I believe the statute of limitations has expired on this. So you get it. And now that they've like, fuck it. So now that they've won't let me come back to school, they can suck it. So I got an Inside Connect. I was able to acquired a bed, 2 beds, and box bed and frames that look awfully familiar to the ones that are in the school. So they can suck it. Yeah, so
And I gotta go. Hold on. I gotta go to the story really quick, just so
sure.
I guess because I mean I've got a similar story too. But like, did you go and like theoretically, if these beds were at a store named uh Valley Smorge, did you enter this store after hours to get them, or did you have somebody bring them to you? Like,
No, you could say this was like a late night, 10 o'clock, maybe. I would say if I would pick a time to do it, it would be like at 10 o'clock or something. And maybe it'd be somebody that would possibly have a key to open some sort of building that they store things in some sort of large, I don't know, that some sort of pot. It looks like a pot, but some people could consider swimming in it. I mean, I wouldn't consider swimming in it. But yeah. And so that's
well,
yeah,
it's nice.
that's
It's nice.
theoretically how I would do it.
It's nice that you knew somebody that had a key versus
Yes.
like having to just break into that
Yeah, like
place.
do it. You mean theoretically doing a beanie? Yeah.
Right. Because I'm not like, again, I don't care, whatever. Again, this whatever. It's past the time. But when we were like, when I was done with college, I moved back to Michigan, and then I moved back to Pennsylvania shortly after. And I was
Mm-hmm.
living in an apartment with Gene, and his at the time fiance. Fast forward, like they split up, and then Francis and Katie move in. So now we've got 4 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. And then one of their friends, I think was like having a rough time or something, and he just needed a place to stay for a while. So now he moves in. So I've got my own room. Gene gave Francis and Katie the master bedroom because they were, just recently
A couple.
married.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so Gene was just living in our little like dining room area. We made it like a makeshift thing, but then because somebody else moved in also, it was like, okay, well, we need like a bunk bed or something. And here's what I don't remember. Like I know I'm almost positive. I'm almost positive we got it from the same place you got it. But I don't remember if we went and like I don't remember. Gene maybe would remember. I can't remember. We either went into that same building and got it, or the other likelihood is maybe we went on to campus on to 24 down with people that we still knew, and there were extra beds, and maybe we took one of those. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure we had a bunk from the school in our apartment also. So you're not
Yeah.
alone.
Oh, it was so comfortable. I don't know what it was like, twin longs, and I made a cave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you know. Yeah. So then, yeah, we lived in Spring City, then that little apartment. Actually, the Battle of the Ice Cream video, if you ever seen that, that's the apartment we lived in. So we lived there. I would call that the summer of fun. Like, cause I just got kicked out of school, and I was like, okay, well, the bar's officially open now. You know what I mean? I've got like I'm gonna do Phill now. I'm gonna have some fun. I'm gonna go crazy. So yeah, we like I worked at Staples during the week, and then Friday night we'd have parties. And so, we get all kinds of like ex Valley Forge people coming in. Like, oh dude, it's like slamming parties, like just drinking and playing beer pong. And I remember went to bed at one of these parties one night, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and Ryan Motz is sleeping on my floor. I don't know if you don't remember Ryan Motz at all, but we went to school with us. It was after he was like, um, like been to school or whatever, had gone to school or whatever. He was a couple of years older than me, and he was like, he's like on my floor. He had brought some sort of beer that was like really strong, and he didn't think it was going to be as powerful it was, and he was like on my floor, and I was like, I never expected to wake up and see this guy on my floor. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like a guy that like I saw at school, didn't really have any interaction with, never would, and then all of a sudden now I wake up in the middle of the night, and he's like on my floor. How weird is that? So like that's how it was. Like it was a summer of fun. And then we kind of got like sick and tired of like drinking and partying, and then that's when we got introduced to marijuana. And once that happened, the beer went down and the high times went up, and it was just like smoking all the time. And yeah, and then yeah, I got together with a ex-girlfriend of mine or whatever, and she was like a smoker and stuff, and that's when I started smoking cigarettes. Right then and there. That's that summer after getting kicked out, which is so crazy because like I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I quit like I don't know 4 years ago or something
Yeah.
like that. No,
Yeah.
3 years ago, a long time ago now. But yeah, so I started smoking cigarettes, drinking, smoking. And yeah, so that's basically that first. I would just summer fun is what I call it. Just hanging out and partying and not making that much money. Budgeting, like I literally would budget $50 a week for food, and like that's all I had for food. And then I get like a case of Guinness, pay my bills, and I'd have like no like gas and like have no other money for anything else. Just like those early 20s, just like slumming it, not slumming it, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
just like a lot of money, and you're like, how many deferrals can I do on the student loans? You're like, I have to notes here. I'm just making sure I don't forget anything. So then eventually we ended up getting like kicked out of that apartment, and then I lived with the ex-girlfriend of mine for a little while. This is when I got my cat Lucy. I wanted to mention her because she passed away a couple years ago. But me and Lucy, man, tight bond. We were just like, it was just me and her forever. You know what I mean? For like 6 or 7 years, just me and her hanging out. But yeah, so we ended up moving to another apartment in Spring City, the one that you had went to. We were there for like 3 years or something like that. At first, it was like so Brian had moved on and was like living somewhere else, or I can't remember where he went. He went somewhere else, and so then I ended up getting meeting a new guy that worked at Staples. He was a friend. He ended up we ended up getting an apartment together. His name was Matt. I don't know if you ever met Matt.
Maybe.
But,
I don't know.
probably not. But yeah, he was a buddy of mine. We worked together at Staples. He was originally from New Jersey, so he was looking for a place to live too. So like me, him, me and him got a place in Spring City, second and third floor, right next to the Spring City Hotel. And we lived there for like 3 years. Alex ended up moving in with us like 2 years in because like I ended up me and that ex-girlfriend or whatever, that girlfriend, we ended up splitting up. Like the first year was good, the second year was just terrible, just an awful experience. So what ended up happening was and I haven't, it's just so weird. I don't really tell a lot of people. I haven't really told many people this, but it's just it is what it is. It's just like one of those experiences. So like we break up or whatever, and the problem was a lot of our friends were like the same people or the same crowds, and so it was sort of like one of those situations where you like pick sides sort of thing. You know what I mean? Or like if we're like it's a Friday night or Saturday night and like or they want to go to the bar, like well she's at the same bar. You know what I mean? It was just like a whole thing, and I really didn't want to like be like friends with her after that. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like a horrible situation. Lost a bunch of friends and just like felt like shit and just was going through a really dark time, like depression, you name it. Even in school, I kind of underplayed. I didn't talk about it, but in school, I was just like depressed. If anyone that knows me that I was friends with in school knows that. But yeah, man, it's just a bad time. And it was so bad that I had to have Alex, like, begged Alex to come move from Massachusetts back down to Pennsylvania. And that's when he moved in with me because I was like, dude, you got to move down here. It was just a bad, and I'll just leave it at that. But, yeah, because I could basically just lost all my friends. You know what I mean? Like, and they're like, oh, you're a horrible person. Like, you don't want to be friends with you. You know what I mean? It's just like
Sure.
things you don't want to hear from like people that are supposed to be your friends. Do you know what I mean? And it sort of like reinforced the idea like that the school had put in my mind that like, oh, you're not like good enough, or you know what I mean? That whole dude. So anyway, so I ended up getting rid of a lot of those friends, and it was just basically me and Al for like a whole year, schneeling and dealing. That's when the schneeling and dealing came into play, and me and Alex are just like learning how to play guitar, and I learned how to play guitar in that house, and me and Alex like, oh, it was so much fun, man. Like there was good times, there was bad times, but like when me and Alex finally moved in, and we were like, because me and Alex are just like, like and he's like my best friend, like, we hung out our whole lives, so he moves in, I learned how to play guitar, we're jamming up on the third floors, smoking joints and playing music, and and that's when like Alex had decided to go back to school, so then Alex would come over on the weekends and stuff and hang out, and he would bring like other Valley Forge people over, like that's when you came over and met us. Matthias came over, that's what Matthias told a story about meeting me on my porch in Spring City. That's that house. Like I met Matthias. White Chocolate came over and hang out. A whole bunch of people I met through Alex that were like 24 down people.
Yep.
And I wouldn't say, I mean, with some, there was some drinking going on. I will not say or not whether people were smoking weed or not, but, I was, but, I mean, I don't blow up anybody's spot. If they want to say that they were, but not everybody did. But it was just funny. But it was just fun, man, It was sort of like the I wouldn't say Animal House, but it was like, just a fun hangout place where you could come hang out and, no one's going to judge you, and we'll just play some music and chill. And yeah, man, Spring City. It was, like I said, best of times and the worst of times. I ended up getting a good job though when I was finally started making some like real money. I worked at Siemens in Malvern. Did medical billing for hospitals all across the country, stuff like that. It was a good pay for the the time and stuff. So I started making good money, started paying student loans off. So slowly getting better. But then as we get towards like the end of my time in Pennsylvania, I was just done with Pennsylvania. Like I wanted to go home. I wanted to, just spend more time with my family and be around for more things. And I just was like earning for home, And so that's when I decided to move back to Massachusetts. And we're talking 2010 at this point. So 2010, I convince Alex, this guy Cody that is from Pennsylvania, and my cousin Jason to move into an apartment in Onset, Massachusetts. And we lived there. Well, Cody lived there for half a summer, had a mental breakdown. He moved back to Pennsylvania. It is what it is. I mean, like everyone has mental breakdowns. It is what it is. It's no big deal. But he had a mental breakdown. He just like bolted in the middle of the night. I was just like, "Where's Cody?" I was like, "Oh, he left. His parents can pick him up." I'm like, "Okay, all right, that's fine." All right. He could have said something. This would have been fine, but whatever. So he moves out, and so it's like me, Alex, and Jay, and I had a job lined up and then it fell through. So then I had to it was not a good time job market wise. So I just kind of had to take the first job that kind of came up. So I ended up working at a D'Angelo's, which is like a sub place. Ended up working so hard, became the manager there. Ended up getting shut down. And then I was like, well, it was attached to a gas station. So the gas station's like, oh, you can come be an assistant manager. And I was like, oh, I don't really want to do that. And so that was my backup plan. So I was like, I got to get the fuck out of here. So then I'm like, all right, well, I need to find a better job. So I was on Craigslist, East Coast Fire. Oh, we do fire extinguisher inspections. We're looking for a technician, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. I do the interview, slay the interview. I get hired. And now I've been at East Coast Fire for like 9 years. I've won Employee of the Year 2 times. I just won a vacation to Florida because of the Employee of the Year thing last year. Continue to get better and better at my job, and I like the job, which also helps. Like, if anyone's out there doing a job they hate, just don't do it. Find a different job. Because, I would say I love my job, but I enjoy it every day. Like, I don't mind getting up and going to work because I drive. Basically, I do fire extinguishing. So I travel around all across New England every single day. I'm somewhere different. Today I was in Rhode Island. On Monday I'm in New Hampshire. So I'm all over New England. So it's cool. I drive job to job. So in between jobs, I get to listen to podcasts and stuff. And it's just a good job. So I've definitely I've made a career out of it. I'm make great money now and all that stuff. So as far as that aspect of my life, job wise, it's been great. I kind of go have myself. But yes, we lived in Austin for a while. Al moves back to Pennsylvania. Al's timeline on his episode is all off. He just gave you guys the weirdest he just simplified it basically. But yeah, so Alex moves back to Pennsylvania again, and then he's been there ever since. He moved back in 2011, or yeah, something like that. So he leaves me. So that Cody's gone, Al's gone, so it's just me and Jay. So we're like, oh, we kind of need another roommate. Because at that time I'm not at East Coast yet. I'm still working at sub shop. So I'm not making that much money. So then the most unlikely of roommates comes in, and it's my dad. So then my dad roommates with us. He has his own. We have all our me and Jay shared a room, and then my dad has his own room and stuff like that. And so then Jay moves out and gets his own place, and then it's just me and my dad. And then we're like, all right, we need to get out of here. The roof's leaking. They're not fixing it. So we bail. We leave on set. At this point, I meet the love of my life. I meet Nicole in 2011. We get together in 13 or 12 or 13. I can't remember the year. But we've been together 9 years, I believe. I could be wrong. But yeah, she is the best thing that's ever happened to me, 100%. She's my best friend. We hang out all the time. I don't know where I would be without her, that's for sure. She's the best. Anyway, not to get too lovey-dovey, but that's when we met each other, or around that same time period. Then once we decided we needed to leave on set, we were like, all right, well, Nicole wants to, we're going to move together, and then Dad's going to come with us too. So then we found a place here in Middleborough, which is where I live right now, as you can see. It looks a lot better than just this. This is just my room. So yeah, then we moved here. And we've been living here for 6 years. This is the home of WrestleFest. My dad lived with us for a little while, then he left, and he lives down the street now. So it's just me and Nicole. Yeah, we've been living here for 6 or 7 years. A couple of things I didn't say. Me and John, we started a podcast, the Phill and Alex Show, back in 2015. Josh was on it. It was an amazing show, incredible. That's where all my characters come from. Janitor, Bobby, all these people you see in WrestleFest are all from the podcast originally. So we did that for 3 years, 3 seasons. And then, of course, usually what ends up happening is Alex annoys me and we have a blow up. And then because he's lazy, he doesn't do anything. And so then I get mad and I'm like, all right, fine. And so then we stop. And so then a year goes by, then we start Schneeling and Dealing. And we do Schneeling and Dealing for, no, hold on. Yeah, right? We do Schneeling and Dealing for 2 seasons. And now it's Schneeling and Dealing's been on hiatus for, 2 years now, I think. Something like that. And it's not because I wanted to be on hiatus. It's just what ends up happening, well, lately with the podcast since WrestleFest. We'd be doing the podcast up until WrestleFest time period. And then once WrestleFest time period comes on, I just can't do both at the same time. It's just too much work. Because WrestleFest, as Josh knows, requires a lot of planning, A lot of video editing, promos, like, planning, all kinds of things. Josh knows. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of time, and I just don't have time to like edit podcasts and stuff and do that other stuff. So basically, I just need a producer who's willing to work for free and, just willing to be like, "Oh yeah, so funny, good one," every couple of minutes.
Yeah, I think you know, the people that know or that know of our WrestleFest stuff, um, unless you've been involved, I don't think they really know how much like truly goes into it. And in a way, like um, not to like shit on ourselves, but like we're not getting paid for this. We're not, like
Mm-mm.
it's literally because we enjoy doing it. But I kid you not, like you have to have that desire to do it because if I didn't really enjoy it, I would not do it because of how much goes into it. And you do even more. So because you do all the video editing like after it's done. And yeah, so I understand because I'm like so involved why your podcasts have gone on breaks and things like that. But for those I guess just listening, there is so much that goes into it. But I think a lot of people have probably picked this up through this podcast and through the flag burning podcast, through hearing stories about you and things like that. Like Phill is a very very creative person, and so when he whether it's the podcast, whether it's WrestleFest, whatever it is, like I appreciate that you put all of your effort into getting the goal done of whatever it is at that time. Um, but that's not to say like when those podcasts go on a break that it's necessarily for anything bad. Like those of you who have not heard, I think you started putting some of the old ones back up online,
I
right?
did. I did.
So
I'm gonna release them all, and I was editing them and stuff, and kind of re-releasing them, but I'll probably just release them all just the way they are.
those of you who haven't heard, like, and some of the stuff's probably, obviously outdated and whatever, but like, give it a listen because, like, there's some just Phil and Alex together are like two of, if not the funniest people that I've like ever met. So, like, regardless, you're gonna laugh. Like, you're gonna laugh listening to the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just I was, it was funny you mentioned that because I was thinking back to like the Janitor John Janner storylines and some of like the crazy. The one that sticks out to me the most is when I did the whole storyline and I did see the key is not to tell you guys what the storyline or what the twist is in the story, so that way it's a natural reaction. So the best twist is when okay, it's hard to set up. Janitor John Janner, for those of you who don't know, is a biker type guy. I would say he's in his 50s or so, kind of like hardened. Did a lot of coke in the 80s. May or may not do coke now. Has a very raspy voice. Maybe I'll do him later. But yeah, so that's Janitor John Janner. So the storyline was he has this feud with people might have seen the show. Um, oh, Full Throttle Saloon. It used to be on some channel or whatever. Michael Ballard is the name of a guy that owns a Full Throttle Saloon. Anyway, so we had this fictitious feud between Michael Ballard and Janitor John Janner. So there was this whole biker ride that John had went on in Inferno in the 80s or early 70s, late 70s, early 80s. And he lost all these bikers, and he lost half of his guys in a sandstorm that ended up sweeping up his guys. And anyway, so he gets a feud with Ballard and stuff. And so this this attacker goes, they're supposed to meet up or whatever or something. And this attacker comes after John and he cuts his head off. And so later on, we find out that it wasn't an assassin. It was actually the no arms man tied up and gagged, and he didn't know. And so he didn't know. And then he's like, and then I say he didn't fight back. Like, oh, I should have figured that one out. He didn't fight back at all. He did. He just stood there. So it's just I don't know if I'm doing it justice, but it was just one of those twists that you just didn't expect. Like that, oh, we do. He's like, I chopped this guy's head off, and blah blah blah. Then all of a sudden we get this phone call 5 minutes later. Yeah, that was the no arms man. He is now dead. Don't worry, everyone. He's been resurrected, as Josh can tell you. That was the start of the storyline too. Later on, he gets to be resurrected.
Yeah, the Janitor John Janitor saga and everything through the podcasts and through the WrestleFest and stuff like that. Like, actually, like, I'll just let you know, Alex and I were talking the other day because something came up about the WrestleFest shirts,
Yeah.
and he, in typical Alex fashion, had no idea that we had put some up already, even though he's seen the chats that we've whatever. So so he was talking about the Janitor John Janitor shirt, and he's like,
Yeah.
how he loved it. And he said, and I agree, like the Janitor John Janitor character could easily, like no doubt about it, either have its own TV show or be like an ongoing sketch on like Saturday Night Live, like that kind of like
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
that good.
No, dude, it really is. He's definitely the best character I've ever thought of. And it's just like, it's one of those things that just like, it just clicked. All I had was, I wanted his voice to sound like really raspy and literally like crazy because I met a guy like that once. And I just couldn't believe his voice was the way that it was. And I was just shocked by it. And he was like a guy that was like in his 40s at the time, because it was like 10 years ago, probably 15 years ago. And now he's in his 50s or whatever. But he was a guy that was kind of like an 80s type style, you know what I mean? Kind of like a leather jacket kind of guy, definitely did coke in the 80s. So that was like my like thought. And I was like, oh, I'll make him a janitor, and his last name's Janitor. And that's literally all I had. So then I sit down for that first. So basically, I just did like I improv'd it basically. So I had like the background, and then I sit down with Alex for like an interview. This is like Phill and Alex show, like season episode 3 or 4 or something like that. I sit down.
Early.
Yeah, very early. So I sit down for an interview, and like that's when I come up with the Caterno thing. That's where I come up with the back nine, which is, I don't know, people don't know what a back nine is. Back nine is when you do a coke off a girl's bare back. Just like things that like just random things, like a whole bunch of like Janitor John Janitor staples, like he was talking about the 80s did coke, in the 90s he's like, I don't want to tell you what I did, and then I was like, oh, 9/11 happened, and that's when I relapsed. Just like random shit like that. I didn't plan that, I just said it. You know what I mean? It's just like sometimes when like it's just like I don't know if it's a gift or if it's just how my mind works or whatever. I'm just able to do that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, it always doesn't work out, and not everything you say is going to be funny, but sometimes in the right circumstance and the right character or whatever, it just fits. And then everything you say, it just like fits that person, and it's just like you become that person, and it's just like ridiculousness. It's like Robert Teenan's the same way. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't have anything for Robert Teenan ever. I just like say things off the top of my head. And it's just like basically Robert Teenan is my dad, and a combination of my dad and what's the actual Bobby Heenan. Like that's basically who Robert Heenan is. You know what I mean? Like I try to think of like, all right, what would my dad say? You know what I mean? Like what?
I never knew that you'd like based him off your dad, but now like knowing that makes him even better. Like
yeah.
Your dad is hands down like one of my favorite people ever too, and like that, like you guys definitely get your funny bone, your humor. You get that from him because
100%,
it's same style, same like yeah.
Yeah, dude. Oh, my dad. I talk about King Schneeler, man. Did Alex tell the story about how my dad showed up at Valley Forge and wanted to waterboard? Okay, he did. Okay, wanted to waterboard Dr. Meyer. Where's Dr. Meyer? Want to waterboard his ass?
That's great. Well, yeah. So I guess long story short is if you have not checked out any of, whether it be the Phill and Alex show or the Schneelin and Dealin, like Phill, I'm sure we'll put some links up at some point. Look out for those. Like they are so good. They are so good. But
yeah, especially Bikers and Babes in Paradise.
Yeah,
as my crown jewel.
Well, is there anything else in the kind of recap that you want to go through before we get to some questions?
I don't think so. I mean, we mentioned WrestleFest. We mentioned the podcast. I mentioned Everywhere I've Lived. and ups and downs and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much about it.
Yeah, I think if there's anything that was missed, it'll get picked up here as we continue to go
Yeah.
through questions and tell other stories and that kind of thing
Oh,
like
for
that.
sure.
So,
Absolutely. Definitely.
all right, well let's just hop right into the questions then. First question comes from one of our RAs, Carlos, and this is one that he asks everybody.
Okay. I love this
So,
question.
if you could develop a Valley Forge / 24 down escape room, what would be the puzzles that you would implement to get out of that room?
Escape room. Okay. Valley Forge style escape room. All right. Well, I mean, automatically before you get in there, you got to scan your ID. I mean, if you don't scan your ID, you can't get in. Or who's to say you were there? So like there's definitely gonna be a scan and scram maybe type of thing where you gotta like do it a certain way, but then it's escape room, so that might not work, you know. Oh man, such a great question. And I wish I came prepared. I should have known he was gonna ask this. Yes, everyone. I'm gonna come back to that. Let me think about it.
All right, that's fine. All right, well, I will go to some other reoccurring questions here, and I will ask my set of reoccurring questions. And you kind of touched on one of them already at Staples. The question is, what jobs did you have during college? So besides Staples, did you have anything else?
No, just staple. Oh, sorry. I lied. I almost fucking lied. What a fucking liar. No, okay. Yeah, I did have another job. I worked at Staples, but before I worked at Staples, I worked at Build-A-Bear
Nice. I did not know that.
for like 2 months. Only reason really is because I wanted to get close to this girl I was interested in. But I enjoyed it. It was fine, you know.
That's got, I would think, especially like at that age, like it's got to be fun to just, I mean, you're at the mall, like,
Yeah, yep,
yeah, I don't know. I did not know that.
yeah. I was stuffing bears full of stuffing. You want to? Is that enough? You want more? Yeah,
uh,
so weird. Wow, I almost forgot about that. That's crazy.
nice.
Yep.
All right. So if uh, this is, I don't know if you ever did scan and scram, but if you did, what was your go-to move?
I think the easiest. I mean, obviously the easiest one was to just stand right in and then walk right out that side door. Like go through the main chapel and then that side entrance where some people would come in, just
So
like sneak out.
there was two side entrances. There was two side doors. One was an entrance and one was an exit. Do you remember that? Like, if you're walking into chapel,
Yeah.
so you're looking at the stage, you're talking about the door to your right, correct?
Well,
The,
yes. Yeah. You walk in, the stages in front of you. Yeah, the door to the
yes.
right. Yes.
There was also one. Did you ever see the one to the left?
No.
Same style door, but it wasn't an entrance, and like nobody really used it.
Yeah.
That was a good one to use too.
Oh, well,
So you
that's
would
yeah.
just, but see
Yeah.
yours, I guess it makes sense too, because like you said, people would come in, so the
Mm-hmm.
door's opening anyway.
Yeah. 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 You know what? It's funny because that was the easiest way to do it. You could do it so easily. You just do it nonchalantly. And the reason why I know you could do it that way is because I swear to God, I have this vivid memory of. Now you got to excuse me because I didn't know you, Francis and Eugene back then, so I don't know who it was because they had very similar looks back then, and no tattoos to distinguish who they were. Obviously now I can tell who they're in the part, but I didn't know them. It's just one of those things when you don't know a set of twins, like you can't tell them apart. But then as soon
For
as you
sure.
know them, then you all of a sudden they look different to you. Anyway, so I remember seeing them scan and then like literally walk out the side door a couple times, and I'm like, damn, those guys are like doing this every day. And so yeah, I probably scanned and scanned about 3 or 4 times. You know,
That's not bad. I usually
yeah,
scan and scram about 3 or 4 times a week. So I mean,
yeah,
for you
yeah.
only to do it 3 or 4 times period, that's pretty good.
I got one of the things for the escape room. You have to memorize. You have to recite all of the AG fundamental truths.
Ah,
And guess
shit.
what? We're fucked. I don't know if you did. You have Marino where you had to like memorize the AG. Like we
Yeah.
had to do that for his class. I don't remember what class it was, but freshman year or something like that. We had
Yep.
to memorize them and the Bible verses to back them up. All that stuff.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. Yeah, that's one of them. Carlos, I'm getting back to you. That's one of them. I'll get more.
All right. So my last question here is, you could take one piece of 24 down, whether it's a ceiling tile, door, brick, whatever. And I will like I will make that more than 24 down for you because you lived in other buildings as well. So it can be 24 down, it could be whatever. If there's one piece of something from the campus, what would you take and why?
Man, that's a great question. I want to say it's either between my freshman year room, which is in 24 up. So if you're looking at 24 down from the road, which is right next to it, that leads to like Bongiorno and the main
Yep.
building.
Yep.
So if you go in that doorway, you go upstairs, and you go up to the top of the stairs, and you're looking down the hallway. My freshman year room was that first room on the left. That was my room.
On the left.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that was my freshman year. So it's either that room or maybe one of our apartments that we had. Either maybe the sophomore year apartment because I like that one better. I had my own bathroom. It was a nice apartment. But that's what I would probably take because I didn't really live in 24 down. I mean, I had friends in 24 down, so I was down there a lot. But I didn't really have a specific room enough to like want a room or whatever.
So you would take the whole room?
Oh yeah, the whole room. Yeah, I don't just take a piece. I want the whole thing.
That's
yeah,
fair.
Of course. The
That's
whole
fair.
room or the whole apartment, which one I choose.
Nice.
One of the two. 1A, 1B.
All right. Let's see. So the next set of just next question itself. I'm surprised he did not ask more questions. Well, I'm sure he meant to ask more questions, but it's from your brother, so
Oh
he ended up
God.
only asking one question.
Okay.
And I'm sure you could probably see what the question is before I even
Mhm.
read it. He wants to know, when did Phill realize Alex was better than him at everything?
What? This is news to me. No, I'm kidding. No, such an Alex thing to say. Like just typical middle child. I got to prove my own existence. Um, Alex is better at me than the guitar. Much better. He's such a great guitarist. I'm trying to think of other things he's definitely better than me at. Definitely better. He's probably better than me at basketball than me. I mean, I can still block a shot, but he has a better shot than me for sure. Better shot than me. I'm trying to think of other things that like he might be better at than me. No, that's probably about it.
So two things.
Two things that I can think of. He's probably got 100 things, but I will give him the guitar and I'll give him his basketball shot.
He claims it's everything, so
I know. Well, see, we'll give him two out of infinity.
all right. So next set of questions here comes from Alex's 24 down roommate, Nasty Murph.
Oh, I love Murph.
So his first question is, he wants to know your thoughts on Mac Jones / Patriots future.
Guy can eat. The fat fuck. No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, I have no idea. I mean, it's just one of those things when you draft a rookie quarterback, it's 50-50, man. It's either the guy's going to be great and he's going to be work out and maybe, you might have a chance to win a Super Bowl or at least be a winning team, or he's just going to be terrible. There's kind of no in between, really. I have no idea. I've never seen the guy play. I don't really watch. I mean, I watch football probably the most. I used to watch every single game. Last year I did not. Not because the Patriots were bad. It just kind of like lost interest because candid sucks mostly. I just couldn't stand watching. It's just like I got other things to watch, and I'm just not that interested in it. But I do like football, and it's just other sports I just don't watch. Like it's crazy. One thing I'll mention is like I just don't. I used to be a sports guy. You know what I mean? Like whatever sports season it was, that's what I was watching. Nowadays, like I said, I'll watch football and that's it. If the Celtics are in the playoffs, I'll probably watch that. Baseball, hockey, no, I have no interest in it. I'd rather watch the Challenge or the Real World.
That's fair.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm a very nostalgic person, so it'll probably come back at some point. Because I'll feel nostalgic about it and be like, oh man, Ken Griffey Jr. So
that's good. His next question is, do you currently have a favorite comedian and or podcast that you listen to outside of the 24 Down podcast, of course?
Well, as far as podcasts go, there's only one podcast that I love the most, and that's the Kirk Minahan Show. It's a comedy podcast. He talks about current events and stuff like that. And just basically just current events and infighting and that kind of stuff. I love it. Actually, I'm wearing a shirt right now. As far as new comedians, there's actually a comedian I like a lot. He's not always like I would say hilarious, but he's always on point as far as cultural stuff. Like he's kind of down the middle as far as like kind of who he picks on. So he picks on people on the right, people on the left. His name's Ryan Long. He does a podcast every week, but he also does YouTube videos. His YouTube videos are awesome. Not every single one's a hit, but he did a YouTube video about different types of Karens. So I'm sure you're familiar with like Karen, right?
Yeah.
Like a person that complains to the manager about her food or something like that. So he basically breaks down all these different types of Karens. There's the male, female Karen. There's the male Karen. It's just like I said, he's really good at like cultural stuff and breaking stuff down. And you're like, holy shit. But it's pretty good stuff. He did the video about the like the governors that were doing the lockdowns, but they were also like partying and not listening to their own lockdowns. He did a video about that. They were all like hanging out, partying together, like lockdowns for thee, but not for me. Shit like that. Yes, I like him a lot. That's probably my favorite comedian right now.
So I want to spin off of this question here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm curious. It's gonna pose you like a two-part. Obviously, like comedy is very big for you. That's a very big part of your life. So that's part of the reason I'm asking this question. And I'm curious if either one of your answers would be the same answers that I have. So favorite comedian of all time,
mm-hmm.
and favorite living comedian in case like the all time is passed away.
All time's dead. Oh man, that's such a tough question. I would say no. Okay. Favorite all time. Oh man, if I'm gonna go like an old school type guy, I'll go like Don Rickles or Mel Brooks are my like old school like comedians. Like I love Don Rickles because he is an insult comic, and I mean, like he's one of those guys that like he's making fun of you, but at the end, he's still your friend. He's still like I mean, he'll say nice. I mean, I love Don Rickles, man. Those are probably my two like classical. The classical now, but 50s, 60s, 70s kind of. I would say, and then modern day range from my time that I've been alive, it's probably it's so hard to pick just one, but I'll give you a couple names. Definitely Chevy Chase. Definitely Bill Murray. And then, oh man, that's probably it right now off the top of my head. I mean, Will Ferrell's made some good stuff, but he's made some shit too. But I will say the guy's cracked me up though. He has cracked me up, so I'll throw him in as an honorable mention. Just because he's not consistent. Like he'll make me laugh with Step Brothers, but then he comes out with, not I Dream of Jeannie, but whatever that dumb movie is, Bewitched. He does Bewitched, and you're like, all right, what is this? Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anyone like new. I mean, back in college was Dane Cook. Dane Cook was so hot, but of course now it's unpopular to say that. I still like Dane Cook, but a lot of people hate on Dane Cook nowadays. Yeah, that's probably that's all I can think of off the top of my head. What about you? Is that you wanted to know if it was the
same? So for me, like all-time favorite is George Carlin.
Oh, gee, yeah, I didn't see. I know George Carlin. I haven't heard a lot of his stand-up, to be honest with you. Like, because I wasn't allowed to like watch it when I was younger, so I had to go back and. He's said some pretty cool, like funny stuff.
Do you have Amazon Prime?
Yes, I do.
All his stand-ups are on Prime.
Oh, really?
Video. Yeah, for free.
Yeah, I love it. I'll have to check him out.
Carlin's my all-time favorite. Yeah. And then like favorite like living comedian is Norm Macdonald.
Oh, Norm's great too. I love Norm Macdonald. Yeah, definitely honorable mention for him. Sorry. Oh, I love Chris Farley too. John Candy. Like I love John Candy. John Candy is probably one of the most underrated comedians of all time. Like he's an actor too. Just as an actor. I mean, his performance in Uncle Buck. I mean, yeah, it's a comedy, but there's some pretty serious moments in that movie where he's like having heartwarming conversations with Macaulay Culkin. No, maybe not Macaulay Culkin, but with the teenage daughter there. I can't remember her name. But yeah, them too. I love all that. Like as far as new comedians, like comedy's in such a weird place right now. Like the best thing in comedy right now is the best things in comedy that are happening right now is not on the mainstream.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past, everything that was great was on the mainstream, and nowadays it's just, I'm sorry to say, or it's like a lot of pandering type stuff, or it's like only made specific type of audience who's one particular political leaning, which is, I guess, fine if that's what you want to do, but you're not going to get that mass sort of like, wow, everyone loves this one particular thing. If you're just sort of like cutting off, you're just cutting off your nose to spite your face at that point.
Yeah.
But then again, on the flip side, you know, this day and age, I mean, it's hard comedy wise sometimes because you feel like you're going to get canceled if you say the wrong thing. But on the other hand, that can work to your advantage because you could just point out the absurdity of some of the things that get canceled and that sort of thing, and be like, okay, you look at this fucking, you imagine this fucking, you know what I mean? So like that helps too. You can just like make fun of it, those people for doing that, and so that becomes funny. But like I said, the biggest things in comedy right now are not happening on your TV.
No, for sure.
You know,
For
like
sure.
there's a lot of podcasts out there that a lot of people like. There's one I don't listen to it, but I've heard good things about it. Legion of Skanks. It's basically a podcast that was made to try to be as offensive as possible. So if you're a type of person that's sort of fed up with PC type stuff, check that out. You might like it. It might be too much for you, but there's comedy out there that's really good if you look for it. It's just unfortunate nowadays that honestly you're not going to find it on SNL.
Right.
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 And that's sad to say. It's just like, like.
Well, I think some of the like historically speaking, some of the best comedy is the stuff that like is funny but like makes you drop your jaw because you're like, oh my god, like
that, I can't believe they said that.
And that's gone. You can't do that,
so no, I know, and it's just so unfortunate. And I mean, I think it's a pendulum. I think it'll swing back the other way because I mean, there's only so much people can take. An average normal person, unless you're totally baked in the head and you are one of these people that are like, oh yeah, you shouldn't say anything offensive, or try to pick and choose who you can be offensive
to. Yeah.
And so hopefully it'll swing back the other way and people will be like, all right, well, we've had enough of this. Like, let's get the Attitude Era back in. Let's put that back on Peacock. This is an inside reference for you, Josh.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Can you believe
that? All right, so Murph's last question here is, he says, slightly more serious. After growing up AG, going to Christian college, how would you say your view of God/Christianity is now? And how do you think Valley Forge may have shaped those beliefs, if at all? Pretty deep question.
Great question, Murph. Knocking out of the park, home run. Lansdowne Street. I would say, great question. I would say I definitely changed when I went to school. Obviously, because when you go to school, you learn a lot of different ideas. You learn about Calvinism. You learn about, method, all these different types of Christianity and what they believe and this, that, and the other thing. So when you grow up AG, you're like, oh, this is the right way. And I think where I'm at now in my life is I feel like, whether it's AG, Methodist, whatever, all these things are just, unless you're talking about Unitarian Church, which is not really a church. No offense to them. But, you can't believe in 7 different religions and call yourself a Christian. I'm sorry. But anyway, like I feel like all these like little things that get in between the different denominations, it's just and all this is like, it's like literally the difference between some of these like Methodists and Baptists is like one thing.
Yeah.
It's like, are you telling me you couldn't get over that one thing? You don't have to like split up? And that's basically, it's just like, it just goes to show you when man gets involved in things that are supposed to be godly, it just fractures and stuff like that. And that's basically what's happened over the, human history. It all started out as, back after Jesus left, it all started as one church and stuff like that. So now what I would consider myself, I mean, I do believe a lot of the things the AG, taught us and stuff like that. But I would say for the most part, I lean towards Calvinistic type beliefs. But, I mean, free will is free will. Free will still exists, so it's, I don't know. Like, I would say it's very similar to what it's always been. I believe in the Bible. I believe in Jesus. I don't go to church enough. I probably should go to church and all that stuff. One thing I'm glad he brought this up. One thing I wanted to bring up while I was on here is I feel like the school easily, could have made me really, anti-Christian or whatever and stuff like that. But that's never been necessarily the case. I've never stopped believing. I mostly got fed up with Christians and pastors and sort of the organizations and stuff like that. And for a long time period, I sort of just felt like, like why even go? Because I just, I can't stand how how this is run, blah blah blah. But now that I'm like older and I think about it, I'm like, well, I mean, the only person I'm hurting is myself. I can't change anything if I just don't go, or if I'm not involved, or if I don't say something, or if I don't try to like make positive change in some sort of way. If I just sort of sit in the corner and be like, oh well, this is how it is. I don't, I don't want to be a part. You know what I mean? Instead of actually, I don't know, trying to enact change in the things that I didn't like in school or whatever, you know. And so, and I think a lot of people felt that way after leaving school. I think you either left school, you know, fine and being a pastor and all that stuff and being the same as you are, or you left, I don't say disgruntled, but what's the word I'm looking for? Angry and resentful. There it is. Resentful towards the school, and it sort of affected a lot of our Christian walks to the point where a lot of us. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself, but I think a lot of people don't want to go back to church because of school. And how people they treated us and that sort of thing. I mean, either subconsciously or consciously. And that's just how I feel. I mean, and I think it's like at a certain extent, like that's their fault, but it's also our own faults for not reacting to it in a better way. At least my fault. I should say. I'm not gonna speak for everyone. My fault for not, I could have started my own. Started my own church, and I could have started my own denomination. Like that's exactly what I should have done. But you know what I mean? Like I could have tried and
no, that's a great, like very, very like your answer is great to a great question from Murph too. But like, I don't think that I've heard it worded the way that you worded, and I can't agree more that the school gave us every. Okay, again, I'm gonna steal some more words from you. This is not speaking for everybody, but those of us who are disgruntled or whatever,
resentful, angry,
the school gave those of us every reason to hate Christianity and turn our backs. And I'm the same way. Like I never stopped like my beliefs have never changed. I am in full agreement with you that it's all about the way that I saw the church, not Christianity. And I same way. Like I just call it burned out, call it whatever you want to call it. Like I'm done, But I agree with what you're saying too, that like, at the end of the day, like it only hurts you, but I don't know. I really enjoyed and appreciate the way that you worded that answer. I think that was great.
Thank you. Yeah, like I had meant to like bring that up because it's something I've been like thinking about, like because I've heard many people say, that they were resentful to the school, and that's, obviously I got kicked out. Obviously, that's how I felt. I mean, like me out of anybody should have felt that the most, or Alex or anyone else has been wronged by the school in some sort of way like that. But I mean, for the longest time, I just, I let it affect me and my walk with God and all that kind of stuff. And am I at where I'm supposed to be with God right now? Probably not, but I mean, it just is what it is. It's, everything happens for a reason, so.
No, that's good. All right. So the next set of questions here come from Colleen.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll
I
probably
know what one of them's going to be.
Yeah, you'll probably recognize a good chunk of these. So, what was your best and worst memory of 24 Down or Valley Forge? I mean, I think I know. I think we all know what your worst memory was.
Yeah, I think I covered that. Worst memory is definitely getting expelled from school. Best memory? Okay. I'll just give you like a very funny moment. And like I don't know if it's the best, but it was just like it made me laugh so much. So it was Josh Robinson, my buddy well, one of my friends, Josh Robinson. He was driving his Dodge Durango. He's in the driver's seat. Jeremy Sexton's in the passenger seat. I'm behind Josh. And then no, I'm sorry. I'm in the other side. So like whatever. So anyway, and then Jay Figueroa is next to me in the back seat. We're both in the back seat together. So we're like leaving campus. You remember the speed humps? You know.
Yep.
So we're passing 23 and we're going across that going past that parking lot on the left there. If you were going out towards the front of the school, I don't remember where we were going. Maybe the mall. I don't remember. So anyway, we passed these two people, and I know them, but I don't really know them. I'm not personally friends with these people. So it was a guy and a girl, and I don't remember who they were, but just something in my mind just popped in. I was like, oh, you have to say this. This is going to be so funny. So as we're going slow, we're going to a speed hump by them, because we're going slow. I'm like, Dave, roll down the window, roll down the window, roll down the window. And he's like, whoa. So I roll down the window, and as we go by, I yell, I just say plainly, don't trust him. I don't know why. I just thought it was funny, and so I didn't have any bad things against him, and I think he knew it was a joke, And she laughed, so I mean, they both were laughing, but I was just like, don't trust him. And I just rolled up, like rolled the window. They were we were just dying. But yeah, just a funny random moment. That was funny. That was one of my funniest things I've ever said.
That's good. It's hard to like narrow it down to like what's your best. So no, that's good. All right. If you could change one rule at Valley Forge, what would the rule change be?
Now would like if when we were going to school there?
Yeah.
Probably either the mandatory chapel or the fines for rated R movies or mature movies or whatever. Because I believe if we're all adults and I believe in freedom, so if people want to, play mature video games or whatever, that's on them. But then again, I understand the rules. Like I understand you don't want people watching pornography at a Christian school. Like I get that. So
you bring up a great point. So we're not allowed to watch rated R movies, but we can sit there, we could play Call of Duty and just like continually like just murder. Like it's like
yeah, right.
Where do
right,
you like?
Right.
Well, that's fine. That's fine though, because it's like a video game. Like why?
Yeah,
we could
right.
played any video game we wanted. Didn't matter.
But Josh, you don't understand. It's rated teen. It's like, oh, okay. It's like when Band of Brothers had come out a couple of years before freshman year, and I bought it and owned it, and I brought it like I got it for that Christmas, that first freshman year, and I brought it back to school and be like watched it every single night, and the RA knew, and like he didn't fine us, it was no big deal, like you know what I mean. It was sort of like one of those things. Now that I'm saying this, I got to bring up one little random memory from when I was coming to Valley Forge for the first time. So I'm driving there, and we're going to the back roads to go to school. And I remember listening to the Beatles on the way, and I was like, oh man, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to listen to the Beatles here. Like, I don't know if people are going to be like down for like, because there's secular music, you know what I mean? But, like, it just goes to show you like how like naive you are when you first.
I mean, I would recommend not to listen to the Beatles. That's just me personally, but
yeah. Bring out the devil, yeah.
All right. So, what was the craziest thing you ever did at Valley Forge?
Besides steal the flag.
Besides steal, yeah, that's true.
Okay, since the statute of limitations has ran out of this as well, the craziest thing we probably did was so back in the back of campus where the park is and sort of those little outbuildings out there, because as I don't know if everyone knows this or not, but our school, I'm probably sure everyone knows, I'm sorry, I'm stupid to say that, but our school used to be a military hospital. So some of those buildings back there used to have signs on them that said like what they were, and so it would be like U.S. government property, blah blah blah. I have one here somewhere. So anyway, we went out one night and we're like, oh my God, we want these signs. And we're like, our thought was at the time, we're freshmen, we're young. We're like, well, they're not like being used anymore. They were abandoned. Like they're not really like signs that are they're of use to anyone really. And we're saving these and collecting these as sort of like a historical purposes and for fun type thing. So yeah, we took a whole bunch of signs, like 3 or 4. The cops got called and we evaded them and yeah, we ended up with the signs.
I mean, I don't really see the big issue of doing that
No, that's what I'm
either.
saying. Like it'd be like it's not like the Stone Valley Forge sign, which is like the sign of the school. No, it's like an old sign that says like government property type stuff. Like
and had you not stolen it, it would
it
probably
would
still
it would
be sitting there
it's
rusting away. Like,
correct. It would be, yes. Yep.
so whatever.
No, people
Uh,
gonna think I'm just like a thief.
Still a flag. Oh, see, it all makes sense now.
I don't know why the school won't get back. It doesn't make sense. This is bullshit.
All right. So her last question, and I think this is the one you knew was coming, is some
Yeah.
of us have the 24 down tattoo. Would you ever consider getting a 24 down tattoo?
I will be nice and I will say I will consider it. I don't know if I want to get a tattoo ever again. That's my only issue. Like I have one tattoo. And I'm just not like a type of person that's like, oh yeah, I want this tattoo, I want that tattoo, or I crave, or like, you know what I mean? Like I see something, I'm like, oh, that's what you know what I mean? That's what I want like permanently on my body. So I don't know. I will chalk it up as a maybe. On a dare, probably.
All right. Um, Now, would you have like a burning flag behind the 24 down
Oh
tattoo,
my
or?
gosh. Oh, no, okay.
All right. So, next set of questions here comes from Wolfie, and you're gonna recognize a lot of these questions too. So, if you could have any building or space at Valley Forge named after you besides 24, what would you choose and why?
Easy. The that long building that was like abandoned next to the administration building.
I
You
can't
know
even
what I'm talking
picture
about?
that. No,
Really? Okay, so you're looking at the administration building. If you're looking at the front door of the administration building,
this is
it,
the like Don Myers
correct.
office is in there. Okay.
Where the green's in front of you and like
Yeah, yeah.
behind you and all that. So if you're standing looking at the administration building, literally to the right of that building was this building that it's been abandoned or whatever since I don't know, Lord knows before we went to school there, it's been abandoned. But they like blocked off all the windows and all that kind of stuff, and it's just sitting there.
Why can I not?
Really, you don't remember
So,
it at all?
I remember.
Like I
Okay,
said, like libraries is behind it, and the mall where the library. Well, actually, there's a building there in the middle now, but before there wasn't a building there. But it's like literally right there. It's like a little bit further down, like across the street from Mason Chapel.
man, I cannot.
Really? That you
Yeah,
know why? It's because like it wasn't a building we ever went into. It just
right.
kind of sat there and no one really talked about it. But yeah, I call it Anderson Hall, and I invite Don Meyer over and he falls through the floor. You're welcome.
That's awesome. So we kind of went over this question a little bit earlier. I didn't mean to steal the thunder, Wolfie, but his question is, who are your comedic icons?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we kind of went over it, but yeah, I would say all those people that I mentioned. I'm trying to think if there's anybody that we didn't mention. That I would say icon. Oh, I guess I'll throw Kirk Minahan in there. I didn't say Kirk Minahan. I just love the way his mind works. There's a couple improv people that I haven't listened to in a long time that are really, really good. Nick Kroll is very underrated. He had his own show, the Nick Kroll Show on Comedy Central. Fantastic show. Sketch comedy. That's my jam. Like sketch comedies and stuff, characters and that sort of thing. Like I love it. I love it so much. So I love Nick Kroll. I forgot about him. Jason Matsukas. I love him as well. Oh man, there's Lauren Lapkus is a fantastic improv comedy character person. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. But yeah, like yeah, so there's a couple more that are people that I really like. that tickle my funny bone.
Do you did you watch, like, again, I'm just gonna put my own whatever answer to this, whatever, but did you watch the Detroiters?
I love the Detroiters.
So Tim Robinson and Sam Richardson, like,
Yeah,
two main characters. Like, if you want to talk about like current guys that I think don't get enough credit, like those two are just I, that show.
that's
And
just very good, very good.
I mean, I'm a little biased because I'm from Detroit, but like that style of comedy like is my like go to. And then
Hmm.
um so Tim Robinson did a show. He's got a show on Netflix. It's all sketch comedy, and some of the sketches are like I guarantee if a lot of people watch them, they'd be like, "This is stupid," like
Yeah.
it's a certain type of humor. But there are some of the sketch comedies that he does that are like absolutely just like, oh my god, I could whatever. So like for me,
No,
those
I like him a lot. Yeah, I like them. That show's great. Those two
yeah.
guys are fucking hilarious.
But I
Another one.
Like
I'll give you more to. Go ahead, Josh. Go ahead. Keep on going.
I like that you brought up Nick Kroll too, because he do you watch what's the animated show?
Oh, mouth.
Big Mouth. Do you watch that?
Yes,
Great,
very good. Very good.
great show.
Very
So
good. Very good. Yeah, Nick Kroll's he's awesome. He's always been funny. Wicked great comedian. There's also this Australian show I watch for people who like to watch other stuff they've never heard of before. Howzos. The guy's name is Frankie something. I can't remember the actor's name or whatever, but he does like a lot of like sketch comedy type shows. Like Howzos is one of them. Swift and Shift Couriers is another one. Like a whole bunch. This is all Australian stuff, and it's sort of like Trailer Park Boys, which is another great. I love Trailer Park Boys. I love that kind of stuff. Or The Office, like kind of mockumentary style stuff. You know what I mean? Where they're like pretending that they're following real people and they're not really real people. Um, hmm. Yeah, I would say those are like that's my wheelhouse, man. I love sketch comedy and like characters and outrageous, like ridiculous stuff like that.
awesome. All right, so Wolfie's last question here is: what were your favorite classes, or who were your favorite professors at Valley Forge?
Oh, man, I love Dr. Marino. Dr. Marino's just a smart dude. So I always enjoyed his classes, and there were some classes where he would just like randomly talk about random stuff that was interesting. I liked him a lot. I thought Brubaker was very underrated. I mean, yeah, like it's a lot of nuts and bolts and stuff like that, but I learned a lot from him. Dippled was really good. I like Dippled a lot. Christian Thought class. I only had him for that one class, but that Christian Thought class. Okay, I guess straight about Christian Thought class. This kid, he must have been on the spectrum a little bit. I always suspected he was like. I mean, if he's not, I apologize, but I think he was like a little touched by God. Uh, is that okay?
Now you just got our podcast canceled. Thanks.
We've made it. No, that's a callback for the people that don't know what that is. So yeah, so we're talking about like whether like rated actually funny you mentioned this, rated R movies have artistic value, and we're like, yeah, like so I guess certain ones could if it's a war movie, maybe it's more of trying to show you what it was really like rather than just trying to be profane for profane's sake, blah blah blah. But I have a discussion in the class or whatever, and this kid that I'm talking about, I don't remember the kid's name, but he raises his hand and he's like, well, wow, I think things like porn has artistic value. And everyone in the class is like dying or trying not to laugh, and Dimple's like, I don't know about that. Like, it's like not what you expect to hear in a Christian Thought class. You're like, I don't know about that. Like it's like, oh, like I don't know exactly what he said after that, but I don't know if he's like, oh, certain scenes or like, like I don't know. It's like so weird.
I mean, I would have to agree with him. I think porn's got some artistic. I wouldn't bring it up in like a Christian Thought class, but I think there's probably artistic value to it, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, sure. The way they shoot it, certain angles, I guess. The way the sunlight's coming in through the window in the
Hey,
background.
they're just telling a story too, all right, you know.
Usually the story's not very good, but oh wow.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we got we got one set of questions left. This is from Andrew Kindler. So his
Oh,
first question is, how did you get such a manly beard? What products do you use? And does Nicole like it?
okay. So for a while, I had well, I would say from like 2013 to like 2016, I had like a bout with alopecia. So my beard was like spotty and stuff like that, and so like I couldn't even grow a beard. Prior to my 2013, I could have a full beard, but then like it was brought on by stress and stuff like that. I had some work stress and other stresses in my life at the time, and so my beard like fell out, and like not only my beard fell out, but like parts of my like hair as well. Like there'd be like circle patches. Like as anyone's ever had alopecia before, they will know. But since I would say 2018, 2019, my beard's come back all the way. And I started growing my beard the way it is now, probably like a year, over a year ago, or a year and a half ago, probably. And what products I use, the best beard wash I use. So I use a beard wash, a conditioner. I don't use conditioner every day, but I would say every other day I use conditioner, but I shampoo it at least 2 times a day. Like when I shower, and then I have to do it in the morning because it's a whole process. Because once you brush your teeth, the toothpaste gets in it, and if you don't clean your beard after that happens, or if you eat, if you don't clean your beard, you will smell it all day. It's annoying, especially with a mask on. It's even worse because it's all you smell. So I have to wash it at least 2 times a day. I use Beard Guys. It's Guys with a Z. It's the best beard wash out there, best conditioner out there. And then what I do is in the morning, after I wash it, when it's still wet, I will use some beard oil that it has different scents. I get Viking Revolution is the beard oil I get. They have like a couple different smells and stuff like that. Pine, um, drawing a blank right now. One of them's like baby spice rum. Sandalwood, I think, is another one, and the other one is sage or something like that. So what I'll do is after it's wet, I'll put like a couple droplets or like 2 droplets of oil in my hand. Do like this to my beard. Get the oil in there, and then comb it out, and then I'm good for the day. Yeah, and like I said, after you eat, you have to like at least rinse out your beard with water because that's probably the number one thing that sucks is like if you're eating tacos, forget it. Like it's gonna get in your beard. You're gonna get hair in your mouth. It is what it is. You just kind of have to like deal with it. But yeah, I think I answered all his questions, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, well, does Nicole like it? I guess was
Oh, Nicole loves it. Yeah, Nicole absolutely loves it. And I will say, some guys are like, "Oh man, it's itchy." My beard has not been itchy in like a year, more than a year.
nice.
Like once it gets past a certain growth length, it's no longer itchy. I don't have any problems with itchy beard. So it's one of those things you got if you're out there and you're like, oh man, I want to grow a beard, but it's like itchy for me. Just wait. It'll stop being itchy. Is my advice.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So his last question here is he wants to know what your go-to at Wawa was.
Oh, great question. I'm like Josh. My go-to is the buffalo chicken.
So good.
Yes, absolutely. How do you get it, Josh?
I would do because I think they had, well, I think there were technically there were two different buffalo chickens, right? So I
You
got
get the
like
breaded one, right?
yeah, and it was like yeah, it was breaded and it was, I think, tenders, but they were like chopped up, I want to say maybe. But I would do American cheese, tomatoes. I think I did no lettuce because I don't know. I'm weird with lettuce. Like I don't hate lettuce, but it's just a waste of space to me. I'm like, whatever. There's no flavor to it. So on most stuff, I'm like, I don't need
Yeah,
lettuce.
for me, it depends on the sandwich. I'm the same way. Like with the buffalo chicken, I don't have anything on it. I just do the buffalo chicken
Oh,
with,
really? So no
yeah.
tomatoes, like no nothing. Yeah.
I
See,
used to do tomatoes. I don't do tomatoes anymore. I just do the straight.
I think it like, man, I wish if I had a Wawa screen in front of me, I could tell you exactly how I do it. But I think if I
Do, do,
remember,
do, do, do.
it was American cheese, tomatoes.
Did you ranch or blue cheese? Oh, I don't think they
r-
offer blue cheese, but ranch.
yeah, it just ranch for sure. Like even if
Yeah.
they did, I would do ranch. I'm not a blue cheese guy.
Oh, really? I'm a blue cheese
Yeah,
guy.
and then always got to do not for the sandwich, just as a little snack, side of pickles
I
because
love
they'll
it.
give you like the little like
Oh yeah,
mini.
yep, yep. That's right. Oh yeah, man. That's probably my number one. Second would be like an Italian. After that, yeah, just whatever. But that's probably my two top ones.
Yeah, honestly, like
Oh my God, hold on. But I will say the breakfast hoagies,
yeah,
like bacon, egg, and cheese, or like steak, egg, and cheese, so good, man, so good. So it's basically just like a breakfast sandwich, but in a hoagie roll.
I
You know
think
what I
one
mean? So good.
I think once I discovered, and it was fairly early on, once I discovered the buffalo chicken at Wawa, I honestly don't think I ever ordered anything else ever.
Yeah,
Period.
yeah, yeah. I was like that too. That's pretty much my. It was either Italian or that.
Yeah,
Sometimes roast beef once in a while,
yeah.
something like that. But
Man,
yeah,
I it blows my mind that, and I, I guess you could speak for your area yourself, but like for me personally, it blows my mind that Wawa is only, you know, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Florida randomly, like that whole thing. Because in Michigan, Wawa would own, like, I guarantee you, if Wawa came to Michigan, they would own the market because there's nothing like it here. We have a lot of restaurants, we have a lot of food, but if you're talking like gas station, like slash what, like there's nothing like that here. I know you guys have what, the Cumberland Farms, right?
Cumberland Farms. Yeah, they basically try to be like Wawa, but they don't do it as good.
But
Yeah,
we
it's
don't
the
even have
same way
that.
here. It's the same way here. I know. The best thing you guys have is like, what are they called? Racetracks, maybe? Do they have you have
Speedway,
those?
Speedway.
Speedway.
But
We have
again,
speedways too, but they're not.
you can't, they don't
It's a
have like
7-Eleven essentially.
yeah, they don't have made to order stuff. Like
No.
they might have some pizza out that it's like
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
Dodgy.
right. And a few different sandwiches, but it's not like made to order. Like literally
Yeah.
there's nothing like that here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it just baffles me that Wawa, even like something like Sheets, like I prefer Wawa over Sheets, but like that
Even Sheets would clean up.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's
No,
just
I know. It's
crazy.
just it's the same way in Massachusetts too. We have a couple new ones that have popped up. Nora or something, Nouri, and they have like sub shops in them. I mean, it's not a Wawa, but the sub shop in them is good. But it's like I said, it's not. It's a little different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that's the best comparison, but it's not even a comparison because Wawa just like, oh, when me and Nicole were in Florida for our trip like a month ago, oh, we went to Wawa almost every day, probably every other day, something like that.
I think the last time I was in Pennsylvania, I want to say was end of days 2. Is that right? Well, I
Yep.
guess last time I was in
Unless you
like
went other time.
last time I was in like the Philadelphia area of Pennsylvania, I believe was end of days 2.
Yeah,
And
me too.
we were there for maybe 3-4 days. And I think I had Wawa 5 or 6
Every day.
times. Yeah, every day. I
Every
had it
day,
every
every day.
day.
We had
Like,
breakfast. We get breakfast, then we go back to lunch.
yeah.
Yeah. You're like, oh, we gotta get coffee now. This afternoon.
And like you're okay, so Alex like shits on Wawa a little bit, but he shits on it because he's there. I
Yeah.
guarantee you, if Alex moved back to like, Boston, greater Boston area, if he
You would
moved
miss
back to
Wawa. Yeah.
give it a year or two and he'd be like, yeah, same way we are. Like it's just so good. Like
Mm-hmm.
so
Yep.
all everybody that's in Pennsylvania right now, just know that the two of us are 100% jealous. You don't know how good you truly have it.
That's true. That's true. Another thing Alex said in his podcast, he said that you can get good pizza anywhere. That's not true. Pennsylvania has the shittiest pizza. Besides, like, there's a couple places in Philly I know that are like really highly rated, but ugh, just like not very good. And so, like, when Alex said, like, oh yeah, you can get your pizza anywhere, I was like, that's not true. That's totally not true. There's great places in New England. And then he got asked like, "Oh, what New England food?" I think he said clam chowder or something. Great. But maple syrup from Vermont is another great one if you're looking for New England stuff. Lobsters from Maine are fantastic, like the best lobster you've ever had in your life. Like if you ever had lobster before, it's probably rubbery and not very good. But if you have a lobster up there, like a lobster roll, a little bit of mayonnaise and like a hoagie roll or something. Wow, it's incredible. It's like literally you can go anywhere up there and like some hole in the wall place will have a great lobster roll. It'd be better than the lobster roll you can get anywhere else. You know what I mean? It's so weird how that works. It's just because it's right there. You know what I mean? It's fresh. But yeah,
I mean, I'm not a seafood guy at all, so I have
yeah,
nothing to add to this. All
yeah. No, that's okay.
right, well, so that's that kind of takes care of the question segment. So from here, I'm gonna move into allowing you to before we close things out, if there's any stories you want to share, if there's any things you want to touch on from previous episodes, like whatever. I'm just gonna kind of let you dictate the next segment before we like close things out. So anything that you want to talk
Hmm.
about?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. I'm trying to think. We did talk about Under the Light a little bit, right? Like the on the flag thing, right? Yeah, you know what I mean. I think I brought up the whole story with like how the school like stole our idea and like used it for their own like enrollments.
Yeah.
There was a funny moment that happened. I think it was sophomore year. You remember breakaways?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So just like a random. It's not like that crazy of a story, but he like you get breakawayers or whatever, and some reason they would put breakawayers in the apartments all the time. So we got like 8 Korean kids from one of the Korean churches or something, right? And so like, oh, we're like, hey, you guys want? We're not, mind you, we're not supposed to take them off campus or anything or like anywhere. So we're like, hey, you guys want to go Hollywood Video? We like load them up in our load them up in our car, like in Dodge Durango, and just like load them up and take them to Hollywood Video, like randomly. And like it's just I don't know why they cracked us up, but it was just funny that just like people these like random teenagers in our like a car, like it's just such a weird existence at school, man. Valley Forge,
So
like
I guess like timeline stuff. And again, I'm not the best at it, but I will say this because I think um like you and I are ideally we're the same age. I think we're like very, very close. I don't think
yeah,
that there's much of a difference, like a few months
no,
maybe.
yeah, yeah,
But I came as a freshman much later. So I think
correct.
my freshman year, I think was your senior year. Because I it had to have been because I came, I want to say 06, 07 was my first year,
Okay,
I
yeah,
think.
yeah, okay,
Um,
that makes sense.
and so as I'm thinking about this, what's interesting to me is like you brought up this story from your sophomore year breakaway.
Yep,
I believe, if I remember correctly, I believe I was at that breakaway as a quote unquote breakaway
the
student
breakawayer, yeah.
because I was checking the college out because I'm pretty sure it was 2 years before I went to Valley Forge that I went there for a breakaway. So that same breakaway you're talking about, I was there. I wasn't one of the kids that went to the video store with you. I think
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember. Okay, so what was the if you come in the front of campus,
yeah.
um, and there's the building to your right was that 4?
4, yeah. I'm pretty
Okay,
sure.
and then remember there was like a building that was attached to it, but it was a
Yeah,
different.
Beisel 5, right?
Okay, so when I did breakaway, I was in Beisel down, and I was with JW. Remember JW?
JW. Okay, no, I don't
I
think so.
think that's what his
If I
name
seen his
was.
face, probably.
I want to say it was JW. Anyway, so that's where I was. That whatever, but it's just
It's
there's there's things
synchronicity.
there's it's crazy that like there's especially with you and I, there's so many different connections that like we realize later on in life. Like you've got this memorable breakaway story and I was at that same breakaway.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about the boxing ring, wrestling stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. So
Another thing I wanted to bring up, I don't think anyone's brought it up. Stalker Guide.
man, I've got mine
Do
around
you
here
have yours?
somewhere around here. I
Ah,
have it.
like no one's brought that up. Every single year that thing would come out, we'd like, well, I don't know. I think everyone did. You'd like flip through it. You'd see who was new and new was there. As guys, we would look through and be like, oh, which girl's cute? Which, like, oh, this girl's
Well,
cute or whatever.
the craziest part about it was like there was a decent amount of information in there too. Like I think it had
Yeah.
your hometown, it had your room phone number because remember we all technically had room, even though there
Yeah.
weren't phone, but there was like I think it had your Valley Forge email, which at the time like was like oh cool, like there was just too much
Yep.
information
Yep.
for what there should have been.
Yeah. I mean, it had your blood type on there. I mean, I thought that was odd.
I gotta see if I literally it's somewhere. I definitely have it because I was just looking at it the other day.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Like, I thought about it because, I had not seen one in forever, and I was just like, "Wow!" Well, because we get one, everyone would get one in their student mailbox every single year. Here it is. Wow.
Forge friends. Forge friends.
Wow. What year is this?
So this, I think, so fall 2006. So this is my
Oh my
freshman year.
God! Wow. So I'm in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have to take a picture of it for me.
We gotta find you here. There's Alex. Oh, there you are. It's funny because like you guys are brothers, but there was another. Well, it looks like there's a few other Andersons there.
Oh yeah, there was like
So
Becky
you're not.
Anderson or something.
Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
there's Kirsten.
Oh
There's
wow. Okay.
Rebecca. There's
Yeah,
Steven.
Yeah. Wow, there's that many Andersons. I didn't even realize that. I remember Rebecca, but I don't remember those other people. That's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, this is crazy.
So,
So
what does it say about my information? Anything?
yeah, so
Is it just like
so I think I want to say that this is the cell phone or the phone number for the room. So it says, Anderson Philip R, and it gives your Valley Forge email, pranderson@vfcc.edu. Then it gives a phone number, which again, I think it was the room phone. So 484-921-8242.
hold on, give me that again. 484.
You gonna call it later?
Maybe, yeah. 921
8242.
8242.
And it is the room because Alex has the same number.
Yeah.
So then it says the building you're in, Bongiorno Hall.
Yeah. Senior year.
Then it says 212, which is probably the room number.
The room number, yeah.
It gives you your what's it called?
Degree or whatever.
Yeah, so youth ministry,
yeah.
Your year, senior, and your hometown, Yarmouth, Massachusetts.
Yarmouthport, yeah, that's crazy.
So that, like, I mean, at the time, like, that's a lot of information, like,
for sure.
And it was absolutely like there were I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was one of those people that was like looking through this, like, oh, like she's kind of cute.
All
like,
right, where's my some of the guys literally like, where's my future wife? And the ladies were like that too. I remember this one girl, I can't remember her name. She literally was like, I'm just here to find my husband. And she did.
Yeah.
She did. And it was just like, wow. It's just weird how some people's priorities are like that. Even at such a young age, Whereas my priorities was like, oh, I want to help people for Jesus.
Oh man, this is great. I should so it looks like my copy of this, the last few pages got torn off somehow.
Oh no, that sucks.
But I have all the students and I have the faculty. I have just one page. I have A through B last name. So that's what I'm missing as far as my stalker book, I think, is the faculty.
But I love it.
I should really I don't know, maybe scan this or something and
that'd be so great to see the photos
upload
and stuff. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. There's so many names in there that I'm sure I forgot that I would see and see their face and their name and be like, holy shit, I forgot this person existed. You know how that goes.
So I guess we'll just do a quick little facts here. Your class officers
Oh.
Amanda Schaefer was the president.
Oh yeah.
Tiffany
Yeah.
Tiffany Freeze was the vice
Tiffany
president.
Freeze. Wow.
Kevin Dennis was the secretary, and Cerise Zolo, I probably murdered that name, was the activities coordinator.
Wow. Yep. I know those people.
Well, now hold on a second. So that's the senior class, but the
Yeah.
junior class, Amanda Schaefer is the president also. So she was just the president of two classes.
Or she was the president for all of them. No?
No, just junior and senior.
That's gotta be a misprint. Right? Like whoever the junior president is like, this is bullshit.
And then there's executive. I don't even remember that there was senior class officers. There's
I
also
don't either.
there's executive officers. Where I had no. Okay, the executive officers, which who knows what that is in compared to the class officers. The president was Mike Gagliardo. I remember the
Yes,
name.
Michael. Yes, yes, yep.
The vice president of administration was Stephen Fava.
Yep. Stephen.
Sean Gallo was the VP of record of finance.
Sean Gallo. He was in
I remember
3D.
Sean. I
Yeah.
remember Sean. And then Lisa Huckabee was the VP of activity. Like, what the fuck? What is this shit?
I don't know. They were the ones that did all like, the student life or like the little things that they would put on. Like,
I had no idea this even existed. I'll be completely honest.
my God. Do you remember when they brought in DJ Tanner from Full House to come speak at the school?
Was I there? Was it your senior year?
Yes, it was.
Well, I don't remember that.
Yes, and they charged money for it to go.
Wait, so it wasn't like a normal chapel?
No, you had to pay money to go. I can't be the only person that doesn't remember this. I'm sure because people went.
I think I kind of do vaguely remember it.
Yeah, I think they were raising money for something or whatever the case may be. I don't remember.
If it was Stephanie Tanner, I probably would have been there. But DJ, I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, I remember that specifically.
That's crazy.
Yeah, isn't that weird? What I remember, I'll give you a couple like random things before we head out. I remember from like college that stuck to me is like just like little things like Call of Duty first started when I was in college. Call of Duty 1 came out and Jeremy Sexton bought it. And he brought it to school because like a Christmas or whatever. He got it for Christmas or whatever it was. And he came back with it and then he downloaded it all on computers. And that was the first Call of Duty we played in school. And we play like on Friday night. We'd play up until like 2:00 in the morning and some great memories. And then that also led into like Halo, of course. And then the other Call of Duty started coming out towards the end of our senior year and stuff like that. So that was always a lot of fun, hanging out with the guys and playing video games till like 2:00 in the morning. Like when you're that young, you just like stay up so late and it's no big deal. Whereas like nowadays, forget about it. Yeah. 2:00, there's no way I'm getting up early anyway. You know what I mean? I'll be like dead. You know how it is when you get like a little bit older. It's like, ay. But like I remember those are some fun memories. Obviously the school cafeteria food was awful. I used to go through a bottle of Pepto-Bismol a month. Just trying to stay normal, eating the school cafeteria food. So we go to like Wawa or Wendy's a lot late night and stuff like that. Trying to remember some other like just fond memories of like just school and just kind of hanging out. That was probably the best time, just kind of hanging out with the guys and or under the light stuff, traveling around, doing all that kind of stuff. The acting and the creative stuff was a lot of fun for sure. Like I said, there was like some depressing and sad moments in there too, but I mean, you take the good with the bad and you sort of just go from there. I guess that's pretty much about it that I can think of off the top of my head. But I think if there's any like funny stories that I can leave you with, maybe one more funny story.
Well, while you think about it, I'll let you think about it for a minute. Let me kind of give my little closing thoughts. And then when I'm done with that, I will let you close us out however you want. So if you want to include a funny story, if you haven't thought of one by then, you can say whatever you want. Completely up to you. So I will let you close us out. But I just want to give you, I guess, my closing thoughts. And actually, hold on. Before I do that, the other thing that I want to bring up here is I set I guess just like a little like personal goal for the podcast slash network that we're trying to get off the ground. Um, that for I haven't set an exact time, but for a little while, um, I'm not going to be reading any of the normal plugs that I normally do, the t-shirts and the email and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to be doing that. The only thing that I really really want to plug right now is Dshat's book. So if you have not ordered this book yet, you can go to derekchateau.com. It's DEREKSHATTO.com. You can order the book. You also find the information for his GoFundMe if you want to contribute to that as well. But originally, he had a goal of selling 100 books by, I want to say May or June, and that goal has been met. So now there's a goal of selling 250 books by June. It looks like they're at about one by the scale. They're probably about 155 to 165, somewhere in that range. So still got a little way. So if you have not ordered that book, go order the book. Order a second copy for somebody in your family, whatever it is. But that's what I really, really want to plug for the next little while is to check out his book. I know D-Chat was super, super pumped about this book. I can't wait to get it and read it. And I don't read at all. Like I don't read any books, period. So um, go check that out, derekchateau.com.
I bought it actually, so I can't wait
Nice.
to get it. I can't
Yeah.
wait. Yeah, actually, I'll talk about Derek a little bit because I don't know Disha or Derek. Like, we didn't go to school. I mean, I think we went to school not even at the same time, right? Did he come the year after I left, or is
I
he there that year?
He might have been. I'll tell you here in a second.
Thank God we have proof. We can look it up.
Because I want to say he might have come that year.
He might have, and it
Yeah,
just,
he did. He did
he
come that
was
year.
there. Okay, so it
Yep.
was like 1 year. I don't, we didn't really come across. He passed or talked to each other at all. He said some really nice things about me during the 24 Down Part 2 episode that was released or whatever. And then obviously, he had his accident when actually when he had his accident, I was in Florida on vacation when that happened. And I was like, but yeah, like, I mean, just from what I know of him, as far as what I heard on his episode, and I mean, just he reminds me of what like a real Christian should be. You know, he reminds me of like what I should have been. You know what I mean? I hate to say that about myself, but honestly, you know, he reminds me of like the ultimate, how you should live your life type person. And so I know God's got his back, and he's going to do some amazing things and perform some miracles, and he's going to come back even better and have an amazing story to tell. And it's going to be that much more powerful. He need to write another 3 or 4 books to
Right.
encapsulate, the work that God's doing in him right now. So, I'm, obviously praying for him. I hope he makes it out. I hope, and I know I'll meet him someday. I can't wait to meet him. Sounds like an awesome guy. I can't wait to read his book.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, literally, I don't think he could have said any better. Like just the perfect example of what a Christian should be. Like, not judgmental, will accept anybody for who they are, that kind of stuff. So, and he's got great stories. Like I'm telling you, like I know some of these stories because he's told me a good chunk of these stories, like that are in this book. So again, like if you have not ordered this book, check it out, derekchateau.com. So, all right. So before we take off here, like I said, I'm going to let you close this out, but I wanted to say, obviously, thank you so much for coming on. I know we've been wanting to do this episode for a little while. You wanted to wait a little while and let some other episodes air first. It it to me, it strikes me like you were not close with the 24 Down group that we know now as 24 Down group during your years of college, and you got close with some of us throughout, but had a very bad experience with the whole flag burning thing. And it really does strike me um the that you guys were able to get past that and get on board with, like, especially you, like Alex lived on 24 down with
Yeah.
the group, you know, like where you didn't. And so like to me, I don't know, it's one thing that I like really, really appreciate, that like you weren't there for the like that time at that core or whatever, but like you've made it a point to make it um a part of your life as well. And like I know you listen to every episode. Like it's things like that. Like there's so many things that I do appreciate about you, but like that's one thing I wanted to get right off the bat is like, and for those of you listening that don't know that, like Phill has literally made 24 down a part of his life. He put a bunch of 24 down Easter eggs in the last few WrestleFest type things, you know, like, and um, he didn't have to do that. He's not doing it to pander to the crowd or anything like that. He's doing it because he genuinely sees what we see. And we had that little rough patch of him burning our flag, and it was simply a misunderstanding, like that we have gone through with the flag episodes, and now we kind of understand each other's side of the story better. And I don't know. It's just it really speaks a lot that you have made this become part of your life as well, and so I appreciate that first and foremost. But there's so much more too, man. Like your friendship. I remember, I think we talked about this a little bit, but the first time I met you, because I was very hesitant about Alex when I found out he moved back on the floor,
Yeah.
and I was like, I was giving the cold shoulder, like, no.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
we got really close. And then he was like, well, you got to meet Phill. And obviously, like, I knew who you were at this point, but the only thing in my mind was you were the other guy that burned our flag, you know? And so again, I was hesitant. And thankfully, we met while watching wrestling. Like, we
Yeah,
watched a WrestleMania together and
yeah,
just instantly clicked. And um, so like ever since then, like we've started building, like from that moment we started building our friendship to now, like we see each other minimum of once a year, like we talk
yeah.
multiple times throughout like all the time throughout the year. And you know, you were at my wedding, like things like that. So like your friendship means so much to me, and I really appreciate you coming on this podcast. I appreciate your friendship, I appreciate your passion, your creativity. And yeah, so I'll let you kind of just go from there.
Well, I mean, first of all, thank you for saying all these wonderful things. I will make sure that check gets your way. So, no, but no, thank you though. Like, I really do appreciate it, and I really do like. I don't have any ill will towards anyone, and I pretty much. I mean, I don't know every single person on a personal level, obviously, yet because I haven't met a lot of people, in person since school and stuff like that. But I like everyone. Everyone's, been, relatively nice, just I would say just know that I'm gonna make jokes. And so if a joke's geared towards you, do not take personal offense to it. That's all. This is how the Andersons are, we like to joke, and then you joke, laugh at yourself, and then you make a joke back, and then you start the whole process again. That's just how it is. But no, but I really do appreciate it. You guys have been nothing but sweet and nice to me since, even before the flag episode. No one was like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" Or, no one, no one shook me down or like, get out of here. It's like, so, but no, I appreciate it. Like all the kind words people have said after the 24 Down podcast, after the flag burning episode. A few people reached out to me. The Buddha sent me an audio message. I think it was an audio message he actually sent me. I mean, just really nice and sweet. Just like he's a great guy. And Mikey, I think, and a few other people had sent a couple things. Just nice things. Kind of like water under the bridge type stuff. So I really do appreciate all that. Because like as a person that's been through periods of my life where people have been like, "Oh, you're a terrible person," or this kind of thing. I do appreciate the loyalty and the mutual respect and the friendship that everyone is offering. So I do really appreciate it. As far as like last closing thoughts, I couldn't think of like a funny story to end with, so I'll just end with like just like my general thoughts about school and just how it's such a weird just weird place it is. I mean, just like there's no place on earth where, you know, you go to chapel every single day, but then you're hanging out with your buddies playing Halo and making jokes and like I don't know, it's just like it was a place where like you guys always talk about like oh like such strong bonds with each other and you guys just got so close so quickly. And it was the same thing for me and my group of friends too, because we all met in 24 Down. So I don't know if it's just the building itself that did it or because everyone's in such close quarters down there. Whereas in other buildings, people are a lot more separated. There's not the communal bathrooms. So some people are just not interacting with each other as much as other places. Or if it's just the people, it's just like, God, divine God stuff. I don't know. But, because we all met down there and we all became friends so much so that we're like, oh, we like each other so much, we're going to get an apartment together type thing. So if we didn't do that, we would have been all been roommates down. We would all been probably friends down there too. You know what I mean? So, it's just a weird experience. And, yeah, man, I don't know what else to say. I guess that's about it.
That's great, man. Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on. And I know a lot of people were looking forward to this. I was looking forward to this. So I do appreciate you coming on. And like I tell everybody that this is just part one. So there's room for part two, part three, if there's things that you're like, oh man, I want to say this too. So
Right.
you're
Right.
welcome back at any point. So
hmm Yeah, hell yeah. And one thing I will say before we wrap it up is one of the most interesting things about the podcast is like listening to other people's stories and things that they say. Sometimes they'll say something and you'll be like, holy shit. Like I haven't thought about that in forever, but I remember that. Or, you remember someone else's you hear a story and you're like, I know the other side of that story. It's interesting to hear things from different perspectives and stuff like that. So like that's probably the coolest thing about it is like the connecting pieces to be like someone tells a story, then all of a sudden, who knows? Someone else can hear that story and be like, oh no, 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 this is what happened, or like this is why this happened, or like you know what I mean? Kind of like piece it together. And I will tease, I do want to start doing podcasts, but I need a producer basically. So if there's anyone out there that wants to like edit my audio, and you can you can get the full experience on rolling on the podcast airwaves. So yeah.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks for being on, Phill.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for having me.